Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to Sound Off. I'm Mr. Sound Off. Thanks, guys, for joining the channel here again. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell for all the new videos that we keep coming up with. I wanted to get out these week 2 season rankings here for you guys before the season 2 or before the week 2 actually started up. I said that I would be trying to keep up with this every week. All right, I'm going to keep doing it. And like I said, it's going to be fun to see where these rankings go from week to week. Not going to spend as much time with as I did on the preseason ranker. So if you guys haven't seen that video yet, go back and watch those videos on the my preseason rankings for the 2024 NFL season. All right. But some big changes that have happened since that first week into the second week, right? Some big injuries that happened throughout the league. Some things to stand up and take a look at as well. Some things to really notice about some of these different teams. So it might be a little bit of overcorrection on my part. Maybe some of the other analysts out there, other commentators, journalists, things like that there as well, what they're thinking about for the season here. But this is my rankings, right? And so that's why hopefully you guys come into the channels to see what I think about these kind of rankings. Hopefully you guys leave comments as well, and so I can take those into account as well. What other people are thinking. I might not have time to exactly watch every single game, every minute of every single game, right? So like I said, there was some major changes to the rankings here going into week 2. Probably the biggest one that you see there is the Dolphins are now on the bottom 5, essentially. On this bottom list here, the bottom 10, I have them dropping all the way down to 27th. I feel so bad for Tua. I mean, once that hit happened, I fear for him. I worry for him, and I hope that obviously everything is okay and he gets better. But I don't know if I want to see him out there on the field, honestly. I just worry about his health, his safety too much. Everyone talks about how he has a wife and kids as well. I know he's got other people to think about other than just himself. So then you go into the financial situation of that there as well and what you can bring in for your family. But, I've had knee surgeries, leg surgeries, that kind of thing there before, problems with my shoulders, arms, elbows. Those things, people say, oh man, it might be tough for you to literally walk later on in life or something like that there. I mean, first off, my injuries are not that bad. And, hopefully I'll be fine. But NFL players, NBA players, baseball players that have been playing for 10, 15, 20 years, those guys talk about sometimes the beatings that they take and maybe how their bodies get worn down throughout it and how it's tougher for them later on in life. That is tremendously different than what Tua is dealing with here and what a lot of NFL players deal with in brain injuries like a concussion, right? This means that tomorrow or a month from now, 6 months from now, 5 years from now, you might not be able to function correctly. Okay. And so it's drastically different than any kind of in other body injury, I feel like, with this here. So, I hope he takes the time to think about this, but I hope for the safety of himself, the betterment of himself and his family, that he does decide to retire from the NFL, right? And with that, having to think about the rankings and what it does on the field to their team, unless they go out and sign Tannehill or something like that, go out and pick up another quarterback, their backup quarterback is essentially their third string quarterback from a year ago, 2 years ago, who is maybe a fifth string quarterback on many teams out there. He just drastically changes that team right into not what they were. And I honestly don't know how great their defense was looking either. Okay, so their defense is maybe worse than I thought it was, which wasn't like great, but worse than what I thought it was. And now their offense is gonna just fall off completely. So, unless Tua comes back, they get another good quarterback in there to replace him, or that backup quarterback really shows me something. I think they're going to be a bottom team for this season. Let's see some other big changes on here. What do you got? Let's see, Bengals dropping back quite a bit. I think holdouts and some injuries with the Bengals also have them dropping down quite a bit. So I have them down there. What at the 19 spot? So they fell quite a bit from where they were looking at. I think they still have all the talent in the world, at least on offense, to really climb back up again. But it's going to need to start coming together. It looks like T. Higgins is not going to play again this weekend. Jamar Chase obviously was holding out all off season. I don't think the connection is that great there. And Joe Burrow is coming back off injury, right? And people are worried about is literally his like throwing wrist, right? So they're going to really have something to prove there as well going forward to be able to keep climbing up from there. Saints and Vikings, I think they both showed something. I thought both these teams were very good teams that, both these teams are actually capable of even making it to the playoffs. I wasn't sure about Sam Darnold on that Vikings team, especially first year on the team, but I've always said that I think Sam Darnold is better than what his numbers show. I think he's been in some bad situations with the Jets and Panthers, backup quarterback then after that, and now he's got some good tools, good weapons around him there in Minnesota, and their defense is a lot better than a lot of people think as well. So Vikings up Saints dominated there. I think their defense is still really good. Maybe not as good as they were a few years ago, but still really good. And Derek Carr looks really good. Right, so again, it was against a bad team, but against really the worst team in the NFL, against the Panthers that I have at 32. But if that's anything indicative of, maybe not winning by 30 or 40 points, but if they could win ugly, if they could win by 10 points against better teams, that's a good team, right? So they got them moving up quite a bit there. Some other moves, I think that the Colts are looking good here. The Rams, they dropped down quite a bit. They had a whole lot of injuries on their squad as well. I think that is going to just be something to see throughout the season, though. I think they're still a pretty good team. If some of those players come back healthy, they should climb their way back up. Oh, and the other big mover would be the Cleveland Browns. Deshaun Watson still looks horrible. That offense still cannot do anything with Deshaun Watson leading that team. And now there's new allegations against him, right? Which means that who knows if that's going to affect this season for the Browns, but it could. The season's obviously just started. So who knows where that's going to go with them. The Browns defense also did not look very good, right? Obviously, they definitely did not look like a dominant defense like they should be. So if the Browns all of a sudden have just a mediocre defense, 15th, 20th ranked defense, and one of the worst offenses in football, then that's going to be one of the worst teams in football, right? If their defense looked like it did the other day, and they're a bottom ranked defense, if they're a 25th ranked defense, and their offense looks that bad, then they're one of the bottom 2 or 3 teams in the NFL, right? If their defense turns back into being a top 5, top 10 defense, and their offense still looks really bad, then all of a sudden they will climb up this list some. If their offense can be better, much better than what they were, and their defense turns back into that top 5, top 10 defense, then you can see them possibly climbing back up into that top 12 range, maybe top 14 range or something like that for the season. So we'll see here exactly where they get going. Some other moves then, Bears, Falcons, they drop back a few spots. The Falcons, I'm worried about Kirk Cousins a little bit. Didn't look great. I think the Steelers can make a lot of teams look like that, which is why the Steelers moved up so much. The Steelers did not look great on offense as well, but I did say I think the Falcons are pretty good on defense, first off. Secondly, they had Justin Fields going, who's Justin Fields this late in his career. I mean, how many different teams does he have to be with? How many different offenses, how many different weapons does he have to still be like, this is basically who he is. Russell Wilson, I got to believe, was going to come in and be a little bit better than Justin Fields, and that defense is dominating, right? So I think the Steelers, if Russell Wilson comes in and can be pretty decent on a quarterback for them, then that could potentially be a playoff team. Chargers defense, by the way, also looking really solid. Okay, and so anyways, the Falcons move back some there. Worry about Kirk Cousins a little bit. Um, so the offense definitely underperformed. Defense was still pretty good, but again, it was against the Steelers, so they can definitely move up from there. Jets moved down a little tiny bit, after the loss. But really, they were playing against, like, in my mind, the number 1 or 2 team, the 49ers. And if you think about it, they lost by 2 touchdowns, so it wasn't like they were destroyed like the Panthers were versus the Saints, or the Browns versus the Cowboys. Like, they were, it might have felt like they were way more out of that game than what they were. But it wasn't really like they got dominated throughout that game. The biggest difference is they did get dominated running their rush defense. That's going to be a huge thing to see if they can fix that. Because if they can't fix that, then they're not going to really be able to stop anyone all season long. Also have concerns about Garrett Wilson, honestly. Towards the end of that game, he catches that ball and easily could have put 2 feet down, doesn't drag his toe at all. So consciousness on the field, where's his head at? Is he really that, does he have all the skills possible that somebody can go for? And maybe lacking some other areas. We'll have to see there. If that's their number 1 guy and their number 2 guy is way behind him and their number 3 guy is way behind him, then that concerns me that that's their number 1 guy. Moving forward, the Packers, obviously, they had to drop down a lot. Thankfully, I think Jordan Love, some things were saying at first 4 to 6. Obviously, at first they were saying they were worried about it being out for the season with an MCL injury. Then they were saying 4 to 6 weeks. Then it went back into day to day, week to week. Looks like he's not going to play most likely in this next upcoming game. But if he's week to week, does that mean he's out 1 week, 2, 3 weeks, that kind of thing? Even if he's out 4 to 6 weeks, that's going, 4 to 6 weeks is big. That's going to drop their team down probably even more, unless Malik Willis can come in and do pretty good for them during that time period. But if he's out only for a couple weeks, 2 weeks or something like that, 3 weeks, I think they'll be able to recover and still be a playoff team, be a top tier team here. Bills looked a whole lot better than I thought they were going to. I thought their defense really had taken some steps back, but they look pretty good. Offensively, they look good. Like they really want to emphasize rushing the ball, which they've talked about in a couple of years now, but really haven't been able to do. It looks like they're actually able to do it. So I think the Bills are going to be significantly better than I thought. The Dallas Cowboys, maybe it's overreaction, but they did go in and hang 40 on what's supposed to be one of the top defenses in the NFL. Doesn't hurt when you don't have to worry about what the Browns are going to do on offense at all, because they're horrible. But still, the Cowboys are able to do that. The thing is, they've been able to do that for years now. Just beat up tomato cans, right? And so we'll see here exactly where they go up or down from there. Move them all the way up to 7. Ravens moving up, even though with the loss, they look still pretty good. They almost tied or won that game versus the number 1 Kansas City Chiefs. So they're up there. Eagles, they were able to outlast the Packers. They unless there was a last minute Hail Mary or something like that, they were probably going to win that game against the Packers. I thought the Eagles were a pretty good looking team before the season started. Defense, I guess maybe some concerns still, although the Packers are, again, supposed to be one of the best offenses in the NFL. But you can still have some concerns there. Jalen Hurts, definitely concerns there, but it's week one with a new center. Some of those kind of things could be solved. That is a team I could really see going up or down. But there's not a whole lot of room to go up, but up a couple spots, down quite a ways throughout the season here. We'll really have to take a look, keep our eye out on the Eagles. Lions look good against a pretty good team in the Rams. Pretty solid team in the Rams, and then the Rams kept getting injuries more and more throughout the game. They were able to outlast them. They were at home. I guess it's really kind of doing what they were supposed to do against them. Same thing for the Texans. Look pretty good. Did what they were supposed to do. So not really much movement here in the top here with most of these teams. It was really kind of the Packers and the Browns and some of these teams dropping back quite a bit here. But other than that, most of these, I guess the Browns weren't that high up, but top 4 to 6 teams or something like that, generally the same. 49ers looks great against the Jets. If they can rush like that with a backup running back against one of the best defenses in the NFL, look out. Defense looked pretty good. I honestly thought that Aaron Rodgers looked pretty decent against them. Some drops by the Jets players. Like I said before, Garrett Wilson couldn't keep his foot in easily. I mean, there was a bunch of times where the Jets should have had drives that should have kept going. And beyond that, they had, twice the time of possession versus the Jets. So I can't really say that Aaron Rodgers or the Jets offense looked horrible. I think that was really all about the 49ers looking that good. And then the Chiefs, you go up against one of the top teams as well in the AFC, and you're able to win that game. You have all the emotions, stuff like that, coming off the Super Bowl win, game one of the NFL season, and they win. And really, unless they start looking horrible or lose a game, start losing some games, the Chiefs are probably going to be in that top spot. Maybe the Chiefs and the 49ers might be in that 1 and 2 spot all season long. We'll have to see exactly how that goes from here. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the rankings here going into week 2. If you guys have any comments, please leave them below. As like I said before, hopefully you guys are liking the channel, liking the videos, liking the content. Please like and subscribe. Keep coming back for more. I'll try to come out with another video again next week here for week 3, going into week 3 of the power rankings. And for now, I'm Mr. Sound Off, signing off. See everybody.